Singapore is no stranger to throwing up surprises in Formula 1, not least in qualifying, and so it proved once again to date for qualifying ahead of the 2025 Singapore Grand Prix. But what were the main highlights? What were the things that we learned? What were the 5 things that we learned from Singapore qualifying today ahead of the 2025 race? Well, let's have a look. And the first thing that we learned is that Ferrari's weekend has been well, I mean, that's according to Charles Leclerc anyway. Don't take my word for it. I think he's been a bit dramatic, to be honest, but they're not looking particularly quick overall. This is a track where in the previous years, Ferrari have looked good at times, to say the very least. They won here, of course, 2 years ago, sensationally, when Carlos Sainz managed to do that. But 2023 is a very long time ago. 2025 has been quite painful for Ferrari on the whole. And yeah, P6 and P7 for their 2 drivers. Hamilton ahead of Charles Leclerc. That hasn't happened all too often this year so far. But yeah, unfortunately for Charles Leclerc, he was really angry in this one and was quoted by the press as describing this weekend as rather poo-poo. Hopefully they can improve things in the race, but it's very hard to overtake around this track, as we see so often. Next up, let's talk about the McLarens. They were a little anonymous today in qualifying by their standards. Oscar Piastri managed to get P3, which in the grand scheme of things is not that bad really, because Lando Norris was down in P5. He is ahead of his main championship rival, but he is behind Max Verstappen, someone who is very much ghosting his way or gate crashing this championship battle. However, Max Verstappen did not get pole position, although the third thing that we learned is that he did manage to get P2. He is on the front row, he is in a good position to challenge for the win tomorrow. He has never won around this track. It is the one track on the current Formula 1 calendar that Max Verstappen has never won around. And you have to bet that he will very much be desperate to change that, but he will have to overcome George Russell. Russell, incredible stuff to get pole position today. Mercedes look really impressive around this track, ironically, because of course this is the track where historically before the ground effect era came in, they looked terrible in by their high standards at least. But even Kimi Antonelli, fair play to him. I thought he was going to struggle this weekend, but Kimi Antonelli managed to get P4 today. Mercedes, genuinely, over 1 lap anyway at least, looked like the fastest car on the grid, which we haven't seen all too often at all. Of course, Canada was the other time we saw that this year, but very different conditions to this, obviously. Singapore and Canada being very different tracks, very different weather conditions as well. So, yeah, very interesting how they managed to do this. But can Russell keep it going in the race tomorrow? Well, who knows? Like I said, he managed to do it in Canada. Why not at Marina Bay this weekend? Something that I don't think many people would have seen coming at all. And the final thing that we learned is that Williams are going to have a huge uphill battle tomorrow. They didn't look too bad in qualifying, to be honest. P12 and P13 for Carlos Sainz and Alexander Albon. Not bad going relatively for a track where they are expected to struggle around. But after the qualifying session concluded, a good few hours or so after that happened, Williams were referred to the stewards for an alleged breach of the technical regulations. And indeed, they were found guilty of breaching them. I will do a separate video going more in depth as to the reason for this, but essentially it was due to their rear wings not being up to spec. They did not meet the specifications for Formula 1. So unfortunately for them, both Albon and Sainz have been thrown out of qualifying. Everybody else behind them moves up 2 places, and they will probably have to start from the pit lane as a result. They will be able to compete in the Grand Prix tomorrow, but obviously they will have to correct whatever infringement there was with the rear wing to make sure that it is illegal. But that is very bad for Williams, of course. Starting at the very back in Singapore. Points not out of the question. They could do some incredible strategy. But yeah, very bad for Williams. They will very much be lamenting their running on Saturday as a result of that. But yeah, those are the 5 things, guys. The 5 main highlights from qualifying today in Singapore. Who was your Mr. Saturday? Who was your man of qualifying? For me, it's got to be George Russell. To pull off a pole position in that Mercedes is something we've not seen much at all. The only other time in Canada, like I said, it's very rare it happens. He was absolutely excellent today, and maybe, just maybe, he will get that win tomorrow in Singapore. Like I said, Verstappen, it's never won round here before, but we'll see what happens, guys. Your pick for the winner as well in the comments below as well. Like, share, comment, subscribe too, and we'll see you very soon for much more content on the world of Formula 1 just like this.